Okay, so in this video, you're going to get a little preview about tomorrow, where we're going to learn about the different kinds of clouds, and specifically this video is going to focus on how clouds form. One of the biggest things is that you need to remember condensation. And as you remember, when we started talking about the water cycle, we talked about condensation, precipitation, and evaporation, right? It all starts with water evaporating, and then in the air it condenses, and then when there's too much liquid in the air it precipitates out. Okay, and that's the water cycle, right? The condensation part is the clouds, and clouds are made when there's water vapor in the air that condenses to form liquid water or ice crystals. Okay, now for condensation to happen, it needs to have a little formula. It's condensation equals cooling plus particles. You have to have cooling and you have to have particles for condensation to happen. If you look at the pictures that I have on your screen here, one is what you guys usually think of when you think of condensation. You think of it's a hot summer day and you have a cold drink and the water starts forming on the outside of the water, of the bottle, okay? There's also the condensation that you see sometimes in the morning at the bottom right of the screen, which is dew, okay, and that's because it's cooled and it needs a surface, and so it uses the surface of the plant, and the water condenses on the surface of the plant. Now, how does this work in the atmosphere? Okay, so it turns out, as you guys know, heat rises, right? So hot air rises just like hot water in the ocean rises. Okay, so you can try to remember what we talked about ocean and currents, right? How cold water sinks, hot water rises. The same thing happens with air. So as the water vapor is going up, because it's a gas, as we know, right, the troposphere gets cooler. Okay, so the water vapor starts cooling off. Okay, and what happens is as the vapor gets colder, okay, and the air gets colder, it can hold less water in it. So all of a sudden this water wants to start condensing on something. Now there's a specific temperature where this happens, and it's called a dew point. So dew point is the temperature at where water vapor starts making tiny droplets. And again, if the temperature is above freezing, okay, then you'll make water droplets and get rain. If the temperature is below freezing, then you will make ice crystals, which will come down as snow. Now, we talked about the cooling, okay, and how the cooling starts turning the water vapor into water droplets or ice crystals. Now, the thing is, up there in the air, we don't have a solid surface like we do here down on Earth for the condensation to happen. Although you think we don't, we actually do. So there are lots of particles in the air, and these particles are usually made out of salt, dust, or smoke. So in the picture here, I'm giving you an example of dust particles, right? They get picked up as you're farming, or in lots of other instances, they go back in the air and they start spreading out. And so what happens is those particles hold the water condensation on them. And when you have lots of particles having lots of condensation on it, it forms a cloud. Okay, so that's the surface in which water condenses. So in summary, clouds are really made of condensation on tiny dust particles. So I have a picture of condensation on a leaf. So it takes that water droplet, except it puts it on really itty bitty tiny dust particles, and that picture there is of a sand dust particle from the Sahara, and it's obviously magnified by a microscope. So don't forget to take your video check to show me that you watched the video and that you remember what you learned. Thank you. Bye.